Hi, welcome to Cooking with Randy and Norm. I'm Randy.
And I'm Norm.
Today we're going to be cooking caramel pecan cinnamon rolls. And we will start with that by describing the ingredients that you're going to need for this recipe, should you decide to cook along with us. Okay, for this recipe today, you're going to need 2 cups of milk. We're going to need some lukewarm water. We're going to need sugar, oil, eggs, rapid rise yeast. We're going to need salt, and we're also going to need baking powder, and 5 to 6 cups of flour.
Okay, so we start off with the recipe with 2 cups of milk that needs to be scalded and then cooled before adding to the recipe. Okay, it's important to make sure you keep stirring this with your whisk so it doesn't get any kind of burnt on the bottom of the pan. And usually when you know it's scalding is when the foam starts to rise in the pan, and it's starting to rise. Okay, as you can see, the foam is almost all the way to the top. This milk is scalded. So now I'm going to set it aside and let it cool.
Okay, now Norman has the milk at a lukewarm temperature. So the next process is to go ahead and add a half a cup of water, approximately 110 degrees. And to that, we're going to add 2 packages of dry active yeast, and we're going to dissolve that in the water. Okay, so while we're dissolving the yeast in the 110 degrees water, Norman's going to have the milk ready to pour in. So we have the yeast fairly well dissolved here. Let's just make sure there may be a little bit right there. It doesn't take it too long, but you don't want it to be clumpy. So let me just take an extra second here and make sure this is well dissolved. Okay, it looks like the yeast is dissolved very well. So we'll go ahead and we'll pour in the milk. We'll add the egg. We'll add the sugar. We'll add the oil, 1/3 cup. We'll add the baking powder, and we'll add the salt. We'll turn on the mixer and we'll get that kind of mixed together there. Okay, now that our ingredients have mixed well, we're going to start slowly adding our flour. We're going to start with 2 to 3 cups of flour, and we're going to work until we just have it at a good consistency. Okay, I'm just going to increase the speed a bit. You can tell by watching for the texture, you just want it to start pulling away from the sides of the bowl. And with that, what we'll do, we'll just slowly keep adding in some flour.
And it is a little messy.
Okay, we're going to let it continue to mix. Our dough hook is definitely doing a great job here. I'll increase the speed a bit more. And I'll add just a little more flour. You want to add it fairly slow because it will come back in your face. starting to really mix well. It's looking really good. I'm going to let it mix a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to stop the mixer. I'm going to lower the bowl, and I'm just going to straight down the sides. And then we'll continue mixing again until we have a great texture. And then we'll be ready to dump it out and eat it on a floured surface. Okay, so the dough is about to the texture that it should be. So I'm going to turn off the mixer. We're going to lower it down. I'm just going to take and pull the dough hook out, and you can kind of see it's pulled itself away from the bowl. So now the next step would be to take this and we will dump it out onto a floured surface, and it needs to be kneaded for about 8 to 10 minutes, and we'll show you how that process is done. Okay, as you can see, the dough has pulled away from the bowl. So I've got a clean surface here, and I'm just going to take and I'm going to lightly flour the surface. It doesn't hurt to have, a lot of flour. It's just going to keep it from sticking to the counter. So now that the dough has pulled out, I'm just putting it onto the counter, and I'm just going to turn it over, and basically you're just going to knead it for about 8 to 10 minutes. It's just going to become elastic, and it'll help with the muscles. Okay, so now we've got the dough kneaded. We've been doing this now for about 10 minutes. So the next process is we're going to take a large bowl. We're just going to take some oil. We're going to grease the bowl really well here. And then what we're going to do, we're going to place the dough into this bowl, and we're going to let it rise till it doubles in size. Normally that takes about an hour and a half. So we're just going to take with the oil side up, and we're going to go ahead and take and just cover the bowl. And again, for about an hour and a half, it should double in size, and then we'll be back and I'll show you the next process. Okay, so now our dough has doubled in size. So what we're going to do is we're going to punch it down. We're going to flour a surface here. Okay, now we're going to take the dough out. And we're going to just divide this into half. So I'm just going to kind of get it to where I can judge what half of it would be. So we're just going to cut it in half. We're going to put half of it back into our bowl. We'll cover it back up, and we'll just set it aside. And we're going to take and roll this into about a 12 by 10 rectangle. And once we get it rolled into the rectangle, then we're going to come back and we'll start with our toppings, our butter, our cinnamon, sugar. And we're just going to roll our half into a 12 by 10 rectangle. Again, we're going for our 12 by 10 rectangle. So I think we're just about there. We'll just try to keep it in a rectangle. Okay. Again, just 12 by 10. Okay, so we have our 12 by 10 rectangle. So our next step is we're going to take and we're going to spread some softened butter onto our rectangle. And then we're going to come back and we're going to put our brown sugar and our cinnamon. Okay, so now we're ready to spread our butter. We just have a stick of softened salted butter, and we're just going to take and we're just going to spread it evenly as we can on our 12 by 10 rectangle. It's a good thing with gloves. I mean, not only are you being more sanitary, but then you're keeping your hands clean. So we'll keep spreading this butter, and then we'll come back with our brown sugar and cinnamon. Okay, so now we're ready to sprinkle our brown sugar. And that you can just kind of judge. It depends on how sweet you want them to be. I try to use a heaping 1 cup measuring cup. And what I do is I just take and I just kind of like lightly spread it out to where there's just an even light coating. And I just make sure that I cover the entire surface. And again, this is kind of preference. You know, it's like some people like less sweet, some people like more sweet. But I find a good heaping cup is a good measurement. Like, I haven't quite put the 1 full cup on there, but I think that's good for us today. And then we're going to come back and we're just going to take and we're just going to put some cinnamon. And what you'll do again here is just take and sprinkle and just kind of eyeball it. Just lightly make sure that you have everything kind of covered, and just the whole entire surface. Okay, so that pretty much covers the whole thing. So what we're going to do, we're just going to take and we're going to start rolling the dough up into a round circumference. And what our end result is we want to have 12 equal slices. So I'm just going to start and I'm just going to roll as tight as I can here. And we're just going to roll. We're going to roll. And then once we get it rolled over, we're going to take and we're just going to pinch our dough so that it stays closed. We'll close the ends. We'll remove the excess that we have here on the counter. We'll bring it back. We'll just straighten it all out. Again, just make sure that you've got the edges crunched. Then we're going to take and that will be our bottom. Okay. And once we get this done, then we're going to take and we're going to just kind of like estimate where our length is, and we want to cut this approximately right in half. It doesn't have to be exact, but there we're close. And again, we want 12 pieces. They don't have to be exactly the same, but approximately 2 inches. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So we come out with a few extra pieces, so that's okay. So our next step is we're going to get ready and grease 2 pans, and we'll be right back with that.
Okay, other than grease the pan, we're going to do pecan caramel topping. So we're going to add 1 cup of brown sugar. We're going to add 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. Okay, and we're going to mix that up. I use a whisk. It seems like it gets everything really smooth before adding to the pan. So just stir until all the brown sugar is dissolved. If you have any clumps or anything, just kind of hit it with the whisk and just make sure everything is smooth before you add it to the pan. So once I have all this mixed, I'm going to add it to the pan. And then as far as the pecans, I just coat the bottom. And it's really a personal preference, however many you want to add. A lot of people like a lot of nuts. Some people don't like a lot. And then I just kind of shake the pan to even it out.
Okay, so Norman's got the pan ready with the caramel pecan mixture. So now we're going to take and we're just going to place our cinnamon rolls into the pan. We're going to go 3 across. We're going to kind of press them down into the mixture. We're giving them a little bit of space because, again, before we put these in the oven to bake, we're going to let them double in size. So we'll go 3, 6. Again, we have 9. Then we go 10, 11, and 12 for our dozen. And so we have 12 here, we have 12 here, and this is our 2 dozen cinnamon rolls out of 1 batch. We're going to cover these and let these rise for double in size, and we'll be back before we put them in the oven. Okay, so now we've let our cinnamon rolls double in size, so we're going to put them in a 350 degrees oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. Okay, so it's been 35 minutes now, so it's time to take the rolls out of the oven. So we're just going to take them out. Okay, they look perfect. So we're just going to let them stay here and cool for a couple of minutes, and then we'll turn them out and you can see the finished product. Okay, so now the cinnamon rolls have been out of the oven for a couple of minutes. So I'm just going to I'm going to invert, and voila, there's our finished product. These are our caramel pecan cinnamon rolls. So as you see our finished product, our caramel pecan cinnamon rolls, we hope you enjoy this recipe as much as we do. It was a recipe of Norman's mother, and we celebrate in her honor every year. We ask that you like, subscribe, and share. And again, thank you so much. Happy holidays, and hope to see you soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.